Hi, guys. Welcome back to Chaos Makes Magic. It has been a minute. I know. I have just been really busy and also like a little bit overwhelmed with everything that I'm doing. We went to Italy earlier this month for a food and wine tasting for our wedding, which was incredible. But also, I've just been like so exhausted since getting back, and yeah, there's just a lot moving right now, but I'm really excited to get into this episode today. We are going to talk about the luteal phase. So, if you haven't listened to episode 10 about menstruation, definitely do so. This episode is going to be like a very similar format to that episode where we are going to chat about the physical aspects of the luteal phase, like what is actually happening in your body physically during this phase. And then we're going to get into some of the emotional, energetic, spiritual aspects of this phase. I used to struggle with the worst PMDD. Like it was so horrible, so debilitating. Literally wanted to burn my life down. Like, not even burn my life down. I just didn't want to be here, genuinely, during my luteal phase. And I was so confused at first when it was happening because I was not aware that I had PMDD. And so I literally like thought that I had bipolar disorder or something. I was like, what is going on? Why do I feel okay for a couple of weeks? And then like something that like literally just shifts in me and I feel horrible, so depressed. I wanted to end my relationship every single luteal phase, which we'll actually chat about that because that's a really common thing for women in their luteal phase is to either feel like anger or resentment towards their partner or to like question their entire relationship. I know that there are some women out there who like end up ending their relationship during their luteal phase and then they get back together and it's like this pattern, which we'll get into it. But this episode is really for the girlies who don't love their luteal phase, whether you just don't like it because it just isn't fun, you don't like feel great during it, or if you do experience PMDD or just really bad PMS during your luteal phase, this episode is for you because I have gotten to a place where I actually really do appreciate my luteal phase. I think it was episode 1. I did chat a little bit about PMDD in that episode, but I mentioned that the luteal phase is one of my, if not my favorite phase in the menstrual cycle, even though it is probably the most challenging, but I like a good challenge. But I really just want this episode to show you the power of the luteal phase and like what working with this phase can do in your life because similar to menstruation, the luteal phase has just been demonized. Like we hear all the time, like, oh, she's just PMSing or whatever it is. And like those emotions that come up and those feelings that come up in our luteal phase are demonized or they're not accepted by society and we're like made to feel bad for having them when in reality they're coming up for a reason, as always. Alrighty, let's get into it. So the physical aspects of the luteal phase. The luteal phase is a phase in your cycle that comes after ovulation and before menstruation. So after an egg is released, then the body is preparing either for pregnancy or for menstruation. So obviously during ovulation, that is when you would potentially get pregnant. If you get pregnant, your uterine lining, well, regardless whether you do get pregnant or not, your uterine lining is building up during your luteal phase and it begins to thicken to either prepare for the pregnancy or to then shed during menstruation. And the hormone that is the star of the show during your luteal phase is progesterone. And this is a really important hormone because this is a hormone that like calms us down. It helps us to be like sleepier and more sedated in a sense. And so during your luteal phase, you are going to feel more tired than usual. That's because of progesterone. A lot of women, and myself included, this is something that I have encountered with endometriosis, is the fact that my body does not produce enough progesterone because of the estrogen dominance from endometriosis. And so really needing to support your progesterone, honestly, regardless of whether you have any sort of like issue or not, definitely highly recommend supporting progesterone and just looking into different ways to do that. I know that there's just a lot out there on how to do that. And the luteal phase too is again just this phase where we do need to rest and relax and retreat more, which we'll get into that more in depth. There's an early luteal phase and a late luteal phase. So a like typical healthy luteal phase should be around 12 to 16 days. And if you're shorter than that, if you're having a short luteal phase, that's definitely a sign that you are not producing enough progesterone. So definitely get that looked at if so. During your early luteal phase, so pretty much that first week after ovulation, you should still have like relatively high energy and still feel pretty good and like able to still have some output in a sense. And then that second part of your luteal phase, the late luteal phase, that week prior to menstruation, you're going to notice yourself feeling a lot more tired, wanting to go inward, wanting to retreat, and potentially then really experiencing some of those symptoms of PMS or PMDD. I realize I didn't even explain what PMDD is for anybody listening that doesn't know. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and it's essentially like a way that I don't fully know the ins and outs of it. I should because I dealt with it, but it's just a way that your body reacts to like hormone fluctuations that causes you to feel very, very depressed, like unlike yourself. Like I mentioned, I felt like I had bipolar disorder or something when I wasn't sure what was going on. Like it's literally like a flip switches in your brain and you just like turn into a completely different person. You like cannot stand a single thing in your life. It's like the opposite of rose colored glasses. It's like gray colored glasses. I don't know. Like that's how I would describe it is like it would be a switch that would flip in my head. And then everything was just horrible, like horrible, horrible. And I don't know, it's really hard to put it into words. Like if you are somebody that does struggle with PMDD, you get it. But yeah, it's tough to put into words. And like I had struggled with depression prior to that, like from high school through college, I was on antidepressants, struggled with depression. And then after I got off birth control, like a few months after is when I started to experience PMDD. And that's just like such a different type of depression. I've never given birth, but I would imagine it's like somewhat similar to postpartum depression as well. And dealing with that, not to necessarily compare the two. And obviously, I haven't experienced that, but I have heard stories about it and it feels kind of similar. And of course, they're both like hormonal things. One big thing in the luteal phase too is just the physical changes that happen to your body. So you're going to get more bloated. Like that is normal. That is natural. And you do need to eat more in your luteal phase. Like your body requires 300 more calories per day during your luteal phase. So if you are not eating enough in your luteal phase, you're going to feel that through different symptoms. It's probably going to make you feel really irritable and unwell. So definitely make sure that you eat, guys. And a lot of women will be bloated and then they'll be like, well, I don't want to eat because I'm bloated, but you got to eat. And like, again, that is just a natural part of being a woman. Obviously, if anything is extreme, check that out, get it looked at. But again, that's just a natural part of being a woman. Our womb, our uterus grows and expands, and like that's just gonna happen. There's like a lot of threads there too on just loving yourself, like really loving your body through every phase of your cycle and loving the way that it shifts and the way that it changes. And I mean, even your skin and like the way that your face looks changes throughout your cycle. Like I always love seeing the videos of women on the internet where they're like me during ovulation and they look so good. And then it's like them. I've made a few. And then they're like in their luteal phase or bleeding and they look like a gremlin. And we all go through it, you guys. So just again, really loving yourself through all of it. And I again just really want to point out too that like that energy decline during your luteal phase is normal and natural, and you should be listening to that. You shouldn't be pushing through anything necessarily. Again, nuance. We always have things we need to do. We have responsibilities as humans. But if you're in your late luteal phase and you're feeling horrible and you committed to all these things, like don't force yourself to go do them. And then also just be mindful of that moving forward of like, okay, I know that I usually don't feel amazing during these days, so I'm not going to overcommit myself and just really allow yourself the time to be with yourself and to retreat and to do some self-care and things that just like promote relaxation and help to regulate your nervous system. I spoke in episode 2 about the nervous system and the womb and the cycle and how it shifts. And so that's like another really important thing too. Like you're just going to be more sensitive during this phase. Like your nervous system naturally feels more sensitive. And so it's going to be easier to fall into a dysregulated state. So that's why it's really important to, again, tend to yourself and make sure that you're not pushing yourself too hard to the point that like you're just super dysregulated, because that again like carries through the rest of your cycle, that carries into menstruation. And the same thing goes for menstruation too. I don't think that, maybe I mentioned it in episode 10, but during menstruation, if you're just pushing through, if you're pushing your body, you are going to feel that for the rest of your cycle. I have experienced that where I will just push myself, or I do too much, or like maybe I had plans during menstruation and sometimes that just happens. And then the rest of my cycle after that feels a little bit wobbly because I wasn't necessarily tending to my body in the way that I needed to. And I also want to emphasize, if you do have PMDD, if you're struggling with PMDD, everything that I'm going to talk about in this episode is essentially just one modality that can help you during your luteal phase. But if you are experiencing PMDD, absolutely get help, get support from doctors, therapists, whatever you need to be able to move out of that and to just be able to take care of yourself. But I will say, like, this work that I have done, all of the womb awakening work and just tapping into my cycle and being more deeply and intimately connected to it on an emotional, energetic, spiritual level has helped me a lot with PMDD, you guys. So we know the luteal phase so well. The angry, irritable, nothing feels right. You feel overstimulated. You literally hate everything. Maybe you feel like burning your entire life to the ground. I don't know, but that's normal. That is your body doing its job. And I guess with normal, it's not normal if it's extreme. If again, you're dealing with PMDD or like very extreme aspects of it, it is normal, but like, because a lot of women do. I don't know how I'm trying to say this. Hopefully you guys get it. Don't come at me. But all of these like heavy emotions coming up during your luteal phase, that is your body doing its job. If you feel angry and irritable during your luteal phase, that is anger and irritability asking for you to be with it and to witness it. Again, like I said at the beginning, this has been shamed in women. The luteal phase and menstruation and the way that we feel and the way that we act during these phases has been shamed. So we shove it down. And if we think past us, and I mention this in every single episode, you guys, but our moms, our grandmas, and so on, they were not allowed to express their emotions. Maybe some of them were, maybe some of them were lucky enough to, but women really just had to like keep it all contained. They had to keep it all contained. I spoke about hysteria in a couple of my episodes too. And just this really ties into the luteal phase as well of like, okay, well, she's angry, so there must be something wrong with her. Like she's going crazy because she's angry. When in reality, like that's literally just an emotion that our body is asking for us to be with and to express. But your body and your hormones and your nervous system and your womb, they are all spiritual technology. Like they are all parts of you that are communicating to you at all times. And again, when these emotions come up, that is a signal to be with them instead of shoving them down, instead of just pushing through. And your body during the luteal phase is essentially like, this is a reflection phase. This is when your body is sharing what is out of alignment. So if we take the example of, let's use the example of relationships and like being irritated with your partner or wanting to break up with your partner, because that's just probably the biggest example in the luteal phase. But if you are feeling some type of way towards your partner, towards your relationship in your luteal phase, your body is trying to tell you that something is out of alignment. And that doesn't mean that the relationship is out of alignment. Like, it doesn't mean that that isn't your person. It could mean that. Like, that is for you to tap into and decide and figure out. But Oftentimes, and especially what I've learned in my journey, is that I was just staying silent. I was staying quiet in my relationship. I was scared to rock the boat because I was attached. Like I was scared to lose my partner if I spoke up about the things that were out of alignment, the things that I wanted us to work on and move through together. And especially in a relationship too, like your luteal phase is so huge because it is going to tell you what is out of alignment. And like that is your responsibility as a woman in your relationship with your partner to feel into that and to bring that to the table. I recommend bringing it to the table after you're out of your luteal phase. That way that like emotional charge isn't fully there, but taking your luteal phase to sit with that and be like, okay, what's out of alignment? Like, what do I want to bring forward? What needs to shift in this relationship for me to feel better, for me to not feel these feelings, for me to move them and alchemize them and transmute them? And I found a lot too, like when I have done that and sat with that in my luteal phase, I'm usually able, like initially, I'm like, it's my partner. Like he's doing something wrong, whatever. Like I'm angry at him. Like, why can't he do this or that right or whatever? And when I sit with it becomes like a big fat mirror, you guys, most of the time. Like obviously, yes, there are things that we work through together and that I bring forward for us to move through, but a lot of the times if I just take the time to sit with that and to be with those emotions and be with my body and be with my womb and see what is coming up, I realize that a lot of it is like my own shit that I have to work through. So, yeah, again, like your body is going to tell you, even outside of your luteal phase, like this just goes for all the time, but your luteal phase just like really amplifies that. And that is the like technology of your luteal phase. That is the purpose of it. Another really big one too, and I notice this in myself a lot during my luteal phase, is being overwhelmed with things. And this kind of goes back to like overcommitting to plans or whatever. And anytime that I'm feeling super overwhelmed in my luteal phase, like there are times where it slips into like major dysregulation. I end up in freeze mode. Like that has happened a lot to me before. And that is just a signal from my body to slow it down and to be like, okay, well, what should I be prioritizing right now? Because if you're anything like me, you probably want to do a million and one things. Like I am just so full of creativity and so many ideas and things that I want to do. And there are a lot of times that I push it way too hard, and that's okay. We love ourselves through it. But your luteal phase is going to be like that gauge to tell you whether you have been pushing it a little bit too hard. And along the lines of the feelings of wanting to burn everything down, like that is a very common feeling in your luteal phase. And that again is your body trying to show you what is out of alignment. So especially like if you have your own business, if you run your own business and there's just something that keeps like making its way up during your luteal phase and it's like irritating you, you want to burn it down, you don't want to do it anymore, don't like make a rash decision, but like be with that. Like, have you outgrown that? Has it like served its time? Is it ready to go? This really is a phase of restructuring and realignment and just reevaluating things. But it's really important to just see all of these different things as like your body's intelligence trying to tell you something. Again, rather than just shoving it down and ignoring it like we have been taught to, but rather being with it and allowing it. Like this is alchemy, literally, like alchemy 101 of the menstrual cycle is to be with those things in your luteal phase, to reevaluate, to realign, to be with that anger, that irritability, like what needs to change and shift in your life so that you can then release it during menstruation and then start a new cycle and build. And like the menstrual cycle literally is that. It is an alchemical process. I might have mentioned that in episode 10, but it is an alchemical process where you are consistently going through that cycle of death and rebirth and rebuilding and putting things out there and then destroying and shedding and releasing and dying and then being born again. And when you really see the entire cycle like that, and especially these phases of luteal and menstruation that are the destruction and the death and the shedding, you start to like really just appreciate that and like appreciate the fact that your body does this. Like your body is again so intelligent and so wise, and like as women we are meant to be tapped into that. The luteal phase really is this phase of moving from outward energy to inward energy, and a really big aspect of the luteal phase too is the fact that we energetically have a lot moving through us. Like there's a lot moving through us. Like your mind might be swirling a bit. Um, and so it really is important to, of course, I mentioned like being with those emotions, but moving them too, moving your body, and you are more tired in this phase. I like agree with cycle syncing exercise parameters. I couldn't figure out what word I was trying to say there. Exercise parameters. But I'm also like always going to tell you to listen to your body. If you feel like going for a run in your luteal phase, like go for a run, babe. Truly, because like that's going to get that energy out. Like it is this process of listening to your body, allow yourself to dance and to move and just be in your body to move that energy that wants to move, because there's a lot going on in our bodies energetically during this phase. But if you don't move these, and that's like a big thing too with PMDD that I noticed in myself was, of course, when you are depressed, you don't want to move. Like you literally become frozen and you don't want to do anything. But when you don't move your body, when you don't move that energy, it's just going to build up and then it's going to make things worse. Another really great thing to do during the luteal phase is to create something just to destroy it, or like creating something that you don't necessarily have any outcome on, but that process of like painting something crazy or just like making some sort of creation and then allowing yourself to destroy it. Maybe you paint something and then you burn it or rip it up or whatever, like that helps you move that energy of creation and destruction, and like especially that destructive energy. The luteal phase, every phase of the cycle has a feminine archetype that it is associated with, and the luteal phase is associated with the Wild Woman and the Enchantress, which are really cool archetypes to work with. And of course the Wild Woman is like very self-explanatory. Like it is that aspect of you that is wild, that is untamed, that just like, I don't know, I'm like seeing a woman just like walking around dancing crazy, like whatever, just being like a wild woman. Like way back when they would diagnose women with hysteria, she was in her wild woman archetype. These archetypes really represent the feminine's ability to speak up as well. And again, that is a big aspect of the luteal phase. That was something else I didn't touch on that just came to me, was boundaries. Like if you are feeling that anger, that irritability, if you are feeling overwhelmed in your luteal phase, that's also probably a sign that you need to have stronger boundaries. You need to evaluate your boundaries in some area of your life. You are intuitive. You're going to know what area of your life that is in. But these archetypes also just really represent like the hidden and mysterious aspects of the feminine, which again is like why the luteal phase has been so shamed in women. And we are much more deeply connected and tapped into like our intuition and our psychic awareness during our luteal phase. Of course, menstruation, I explained in episode 10 how we literally are there, like the veil is gone during menstruation, but I see it during luteal as the veil just like begins to get thinner and thinner as you move through your luteal phase. And so you are going to notice like your intuition is heightened, and sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow when there are things that your intuition is sharing with you during your luteal phase. And even back to the relationship stuff too, of just needing to be the one to speak up about the hard things in your relationship that your body knows and feels are out of alignment. But the shadow side of the Enchantress and the Wild Woman is being critical, over judgmental, harsh, manipulative, having a harsh inner critic, being insecure, manipulative. I already said that. I wrote it down twice. But if we think about all of those things, like that is kind of what we think about sometimes with the luteal phase, or like how the luteal phase expresses in us sometimes is like that, where we are manipulative or we are really like critical of ourselves. You probably notice having a lot of like self-doubt during your luteal phase, not wanting to be seen, all of those things, like that is that shadow side, and it is possible to take that and to alchemize that and then to flip to the more empowered aspects of the enchantress and the wild woman, and just allowing yourself to be and to express and to move and to just like be so tapped in. And I think that that's why I love this phase of the cycle, because it is so powerful. Like, it is so powerful. And if you do work with it, it's going to change your life, because again, you are going to work with those not so pretty parts of yourself. Like, it is true shadow work. You're going to transmute them and alchemize them. And back to the relationship example, because this has just been like a really big part of my journey, you guys, like really big part. And like my fiance and I, we have done a lot of work together, and he has been open to the things that I bring forward in our relationship and the things that I'm like, well, I want to work on that. Like, I want us to expand in this way. Like, he's been open to that, and he works on that with me. And I've seen that alchemical process in play of going from like feeling out of alignment in our relationship and then moving to a place where we grow and expand together. And now we are like, I feel like we're in the honeymoon phase again. It's actually really fun. But when it comes to loving your luteal phase, the first step is truly just accepting it, accepting yourself exactly as you are, regardless of what that is, regardless of like how sticky or dark or whatever, like however that looks like to you, just accepting that and knowing that your body is speaking to you, your body is communicating to you, and that is why these things are coming to the surface. And then working with them and seeing them as, again, part of this alchemical process, because like I mentioned, this is shadow work. Like, working with your luteal phase is shadow work. And now I'm like, that's probably why I like it so much. But if you want to love your luteal phase, you have to learn how to love on your darkness and love on your depths and love on your anger and your irritability and just all of the things that come up, your insecurities, like loving on all of it. And it really is this process of radical self-acceptance and just like rewriting your story and like narrative around these emotions and around your luteal phase and around everything that comes up during this phase in your cycle. And it is like a deep surrender to trusting your body and trusting your body's wisdom, and like knowing that so long as you do that, as long as you are trusting your body and the wisdom in your body, you are going to be led in the right direction. Because again, this phase brings up a lot. And there are things that it might bring up that are going to force you to like make a decision that's going to change your life completely, that might be uncomfortable. But again, your body knows. Your body is so intelligent. I think that's it today, guys. Like, I could probably keep going, but I think that's it. I definitely hope that this helped. I'm always here to chat, of course. If you want to chat about your luteal phase, if you experience PMDD and you want to dive into that as well, I do offer one-to-one intuitive womb healings, and I do have a few spots open for womb awakening mentorship. And this like cycle exploration is something that we can do in those healing sessions or in mentorship together. And I mentioned that, I mean, this work has completely changed my life. It is one modality that is going to help you, but it is very life-changing, especially around the emotional aspect and just everything that we have shoved down as women and have been taught to not feel, when in reality, our body is our greatest guide. So like, share, subscribe if you haven't. I also did create an Instagram account for the podcast at Chaos Makes Magic. So definitely give that a follow and support over there. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I hope this lands well.